that.
I'm kind of seeing a good choice or a bad choice.
I hope they choose the good choice.
And it's on them. You know, I'm not making anybody. I don't want to make anybody do
It's
it.
making them fall.
You have it after dinner or something?
Oh, yeah. I
You
have
have
it till I
choices.
get in bed at night.
I'll make you have to
Bother
decide.
me.
You bet.
I can have it during the day, but like, I'm afraid to have it at night because I'm like, I need to sleep.
See, I don't have any problem
I can
sleeping.
fall asleep, I don't stay asleep.
Didn't see
Oh, really? Yeah, I know.
I'm in a wicked witching hour. See, you get up at 4:30, so maybe that's it.
Are you ready to do
I get up at 6.
support if we need it?
That alarm
And
wrong.
I'm awake around 4.
You weren't looking at me. Good.
She knows better.
No.
I can.
That was
I read it.
That was a big.
I don't know why he might not hear from Michael, right, today?
There he is.
Whew, sleep. I'm off the hook.
We were talking about you, but we hadn't got to the part where we start saying bad stuff because you're not here.
I was getting ready to do the financials, Michael, and you know that's not good.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 4 p.m. And everybody's here. Welcome, everybody, to the regular monthly meeting of the Indian River County Hospital District. We have a full crew here tonight. That's good. Good to see everybody. If we could invite Pastor Anthony Honorato from Calvary Chapel for the invocation. Thank you for coming.
How are you doing this afternoon?
Good.
Awesome.
Well, good day, everyone. On behalf of Pastor Jim and Calvary Chapel, we want to say thank you for your service to our community. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing. Want to thank you guys just for all you do every day and striving to maintain our community, which is the best place, in my opinion, that we could possibly live, right? Thank you for giving of your time, your energy, your experience as you cast vision, as you propose plans and deliberate the issues concerning our community. When my wife and I moved here in '98 from the concrete jungle of Fort Lauderdale, it was like a culture shock to us, but pleasantly so. And it's just been such a great place to raise a family, to see them grow up, to watch our community grow, but not grow too much, too fast. Hopefully you guys can kind of keep the brakes on a little bit for us, but it's just an awesome place to be, and we just love it here. We have a truly special community, and I'm confident that your desire is the same as most of us who call Indian River County our home, that it's the desire to preserve and better our community, to be one of the best places in the country that one could live, work, recreate, raise a family, or retire in. We truly live in a special place, and we need to strive with all that we have and with God's help to keep it that way. So thanks for being a part of that mission and as our public servant leaders. So let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you now and ask that you'd bless this meeting today as these public servants come together to discuss matters concerning this wonderful community you've placed us in. We ask first that you would grant to them wisdom according to James chapter 1, where we're told, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. And thank you that when we ask for you for wisdom, that you're faithful to grant it. They need wisdom for the decisions and issues before them today, so please supply it in abundance. And I also pray, Lord, for unity. Although there no doubt a diversity of personalities, differences of opinions on matters, and differing points of view, I pray there be unity in the desire to do what is just and what is right and what is ultimately best for the citizens of our community whom they represent. So, Lord, please lead, guide, direct the members of this commission and help them today as they seek to carry out the business and the high calling of being stewards of our community, those who have stepped up to meet the important issues head on with a collective desire to make the best decisions possible for the people who call Indian River County home and for the preservation of the future for those who will one day call it their home. Please have your hand upon all that is said and all that is done in this room today. Bless every person present, and may your peace rule and reign in this place. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
God bless you guys. Have a great meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, for the consent agenda, could I hear a motion for approval of the special meeting minutes dated April 6th, the chairman's meeting minutes dated April 19th, the regular monthly meeting minutes dated April 20th, and a May disbursement of,
$833,209.39.
So move.
I have a couple changes,
okay,
corrections. In the minutes dated April the 6th for the special meeting, I left that meeting early, and I think it should be recorded when I left the meeting, just for transparency and correctness. And also in the April 20th minutes, in the unfinished business section, Lori's last name is misspelled.
okay. You have that, Kate?
Boy.
Okay. Any other comments?
Marie went.
Okay. Can I have the motion for the minutes as amended?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, just a couple things. The job posting for the executive director position, as Anne Marie retires here and goes about her merry way, it is live and ready on the website. That takes you to the job posting, and it will also take you to where to send information in if you're interested, or where to call and that type of thing. So it is there now and ready to go. It's already been sent also to a couple of the sites to be posted, so it's there. And I will pass it now to District Council. Jennifer?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. It's been another busy month with the hospital district, and as always, I continue to be available to each of you and am able to and will respond to your questions as they arise pertaining to various matters we're handling. Continue to review the annual deadlines and deliverables along with the district staff due under the lease, and we'll respond and alert you to those items as they also arise. As you are aware, we reported last month, the legislative session has just ended for the current cycle, and House Bill 199 did pass. It appears the only impact this is going to have for board members will be 4 hours of ethics training for elected officials, which the district office will keep you apprised of as to those requirements and options for that training as they become available. As you're all aware from our meeting yesterday, we did receive the VNA's notice to exercise its option to purchase the real property described in the lease between the VNA and the district with regard to the amended and restated lease agreement for the hospice house parcel dated 11/24/20. And we will be reviewing this in the coming month to determine and further the next steps between the parties in this regard, as we did discuss yesterday at our chairman's meeting. We're still working through the next steps for the Human Services building. As we have reported previously, the VNA gave us their notice to vacate that property that they currently lease for us for their administrative office spaces. And so we will be bringing more forward on that as we have more information to share. Our budget funding cycle is currently underway, and so we do have several meetings pertaining to that. You all did receive your summaries from the district staff yesterday. Let me know, as I do know we have 3 new members to the board, if you do have questions that arise during this cycle that I can assist with, and certainly, of course, if they're non-legal in nature, take those to the district staff. We still have the county matter with the potential ordinance change regarding stormwater retention that is on hold. I don't have anything further to report at this time on that. And then I've also responded to questions, as I know each of you have, from the recruiter the district has hired to help us hopefully find some suitable candidates for the open executive director position. And we'll continue to do so that I can assist her as she may need assistance. And we will hopefully be able to facilitate a good process going forward with this. Questions that anybody might have of me? Okay.
Thank you.
Hearing none, we will move to the financial statement. Michael?
Well, good news. It should be no surprise to you that the hospital district continues to be in very strong financial position. The report in your packet shows that even in the last month, we received another $403,000. That's 3.6% of the total budgeted revenue, tax revenue. And that brings the total current revenue in our hands at 96.6%. I made the note here, I'm too new to the district and to budgeting and finances in terms of when that was budgeted, whether there was a cushion for uncollectible, maybe that it's not anything that needs discussion. The point is, I don't know where we're going to end up, but money drops heavily at first, and it's been coming in drips and drabs, and that may continue. So we may make budget. But again, we're already basically at 97%, so that's a good place to be. And in any event, the report also shows that at the 7-month point, both program and administrative expenses are well below budget by a total of $975,000. I referenced the amounts only because we did get those packets yesterday. Folks, you should see what we've got to read and understand. And as we're going into the whole funding application process, reviews, decisions, as well as just the whole fiscal year 23-24 budget process, the variances in program expenses more than anything strike me as something that we need to keep an eye on. Clearly, I haven't gone through a process. I don't know if the majority of the programs and agencies are going to even up. I doubt that will be to the 100% level. My point in spending any time in this at all is just that you don't want to leave money on the table. We don't want to tax taxpayers. We could have dropped the millage a smidge if we didn't need the money. Or there could have been other programs that we were seriously interested in funded or to a higher level that we didn't. So my brain just kicked into that mode because of all the things that are kind of coalescing at once, and perhaps we can do a little bit of an analysis, make sure there aren't trends. There might be some agency, and I don't think an agency pads a budget. That's not at all what I'm saying. But we can kind of do a 2 or 3 year look. Maybe there are some trends we can see, and just things that can be part of the variables in all of our decision making as we go through that next step. And lastly, you had 2 documents in your packet that I had talked about before. One is the draft of a document that would allow us to establish the Finance and Audit Committee. I don't know, since there's been no discussion, if it's appropriate that we move quickly and ask for approval on this tonight, although if you feel we can, we can. But it's there now. I wanted you to look through it. It establishes the committee and its responsibilities. And the second document that you have is the investment policy, actually, which was drafted, I think, toward the end of last year. And I know it notes effective date 1/1. I had to ask Anne Marie because it had not been approved. It's a document that's been in the works. But it's relevant to how any of our investment dollars can be utilized and who has responsibilities, et cetera. And they tie together in that one of the responsibilities, when we adopt the Finance and Audit Committee draft into our bylaws. That's one of the responsibilities they'll have, looking at all fiscal financial policies and procedures on some regular basis. So I just wanted to point out that they're obviously, we've talked about them, and we want to get them implemented within a relatively short time frame, but this may be something that we want to tee up so that we could have other discussions. And there's, particularly because I took more responsibility for the finance and audit, there's no pride in authorship here. I gave some of the sources that I utilized. I think it tends to be specific enough, but we're a group. We have to get there together.
So I don't have anything relative to the committee. You have something?
It's behind your, this one. Stapled behind. Yes.
It's stapled behind the policy?
Yes, yes, I split
Okay.
mine.
So, okay, all right.
On the
never
investment policy.
mind. And we have talked about this for a while, right, putting this together. Are you prepared to implement this?
I think collectively we will. Michael's not going to, I mean, there are a couple of ex officio
Right?
positions. One is always going to be the hospital district treasurer, who will serve as the chairman of this committee, the hospital district executive director, and then after that, we can have up to 5 additional members. Not less than 5, no more than 7 is what this says, because you folks haven't seen this. Requires a local CPA who is not our auditor, a local banker or broker or financial analyst or finance professional, and then up to 3 other local representatives with appropriate background and or experience. I know we've all talked about a couple of, well, one person in particular, and that's your former treasurer for a lot of years. I think he would be a great addition. I believe that Paul has referenced, I don't know if publicly, but you've got somebody that you're very interested in. You shared with Anne Marie, she shared with me, I think he'd be great. So, I mean, we've.
it with us?
I guess we can.
Keith Morgan.
Oh,
Throwing names out. And,
I've already talked to him.
yeah,
Subject obviously.
it's going to be, I think, easy to do. I could come back, I could work with Anne Marie, and we could come back with several choices for you to give approval to.
Should I, you know me, I'm gonna have questions. So should I send those to Anne Marie to walk through with you? I think there is too much to do.
Since it's something that's gonna come before the board for vote, we can't really send one trustee's questions to Anne Marie to relay to another. So you guys would, I think we would just maybe, everybody review it, and then we discuss it maybe at the next meeting, the
So I
questions.
think it would behoove us to, go through it and then put it on the agenda for the next chairman's meeting.
Okay, but yes, you can send me any of your edits, and I can make those
Right.
edits and redline those out.
Exactly, in a
Discuss
draft.
some at the
And
open
at
meeting.
that time, if you would have your, the people that you
Sure.
would be proposing
All right.
ready as
That'd be great.
well, then
Okay.
we
We've
can
got 2
answer
for
that.
sure that we'd like to run with, and it won't be hard to fill out the others.
Okay. So we'll do that at the next chairman's meeting, okay?
Michael, thank you very much for putting this together. It's really good, really good.
You're very welcome.
Great.
And that is it for me.
I was going to ask you if the finance committee had met yet. So there we go. No.
You have to approve the.
We have
You gotta
to
approve
approve
it
it first.
Before
There
we
we
can
go.
make it.
Okay. Anne Marie, Executive Director Report.
Okay, so I did submit my written report, which in my packet again was stapled to the back of that package. So if you missed it, it is there for you. And I had made myself a couple of notes and then I didn't reprint those. So I'm going to try to remember what I reminded myself of. I just wanted to add that we did work, Kate and I work with Lambert Commercial Realty about our lease for our office. And so I have signed a new lease extending us for another 3 years in that space. And they have accepted that. It went up very slightly in monthly rent to us. So I'll allow for that in the budget so that you have the office space now for the next 3 years. And then also I referenced the CSAC committee, which I sit on, and Carrie is on there as well as not a district member, but as another member to that board. And Michael is sitting on the grants review committee. Subcommittee, grants review subcommittee of the CSAC
And the
board.
Needs Assessment Subcommittee.
Oh, both of them? Okay, I knew on the grants
Got wrangled
committee.
by Hope into that.
So they reported on Monday that, hopefully I'll get it right, they had 12 applicants to fill the director of the Health and Human Services that was filled but then short-lived. So they had to re-go out and find someone else for that position, and they are having interviews for that position on Tuesday of next week, I think. 4 or 5 that they have selected to, so they are moving forward with that. They also had something like 32, I got the list today, 32 organizations and 60-some odd programs for requests for funding. Roughly about $1.5 million or a little more over the requests equal $1.5 million or so over what their allotted amount, approved amount was. So they're going to be ratcheting that budget. So I think people should just note that. We've had discussions in the past of which one of the other committee members, interestingly enough, raised about aligning some of those things. There was no discussion about that on Monday, but there is some back work and I think questions being asked, and I have put together a spreadsheet, if you will, of those things that I think are duplicative in their budget and our budget. So, you know, that might come into play as they don't have enough money. Their money is earmarked from the county commission as to how much they have to spend, where ours, you know, we can set our millage a little bit
The last
differently.
time that we went and talked to them about, we're healthcare, you can be,
Right,
and all that, it was close to $1 million that we thought
Right.
was.
yeah. And as I've added it up this year and maybe, and I didn't have the next year's requests, I'm gonna go back to that now that I have that. I just got it yesterday, I think. I don't know when it was sent out, but I got it yesterday. And, so I'll realign those and see what that number looks like now, but I suspect it'll be somewhat larger than that. But there could be some of our budget that can reallocate, that fits better in their budget as well. So, you know, it kind of works both ways, but I just wanted you to know that that is out there and they are
Well, it would be
moving on.
good. I mean, and I know for at least 3 years, we've been talking to them about,
Right.
you know, you fund the same thing.
I just think there's a little more, you know, the players have changed a little bit, and now there's the new ordinance for CSAC, which is the makeup of that. The membership is a bit different, quite a little bit different, and the way they approach things is slightly different as well. So I think there's a little more support for us continuing that conversation, and if it doesn't all fall out and happen this budget cycle, it certainly can for the next, or we can gear up to make sure that everybody's ready for that. And I've been working with Jenny as well, just to kind of watch those as our requests, we talk about our requests and theirs for post-July.
Okay,
That's all I have.
that's good. Any questions for Emery? Okay, we will get right into the funded agencies and Dynamic Life. Mike?
Oh, do you want me to use that one?
No, you use either one you'd like. It's fine.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you this afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and trustees, for the opportunity to be here today and share our mid-year report for Dynamic Life. My name is Mike Cianci. For those of you who don't know me, and I'm the Program Grants and Certifications Manager there at Dynamic Life Incorporated. The last 6 months have been really an awesome time of growth for us. Our team continues to provide the best recovery opportunities for our residents. The operations are running optimally. Everything is going well there. Our one thing that we really need to work on is more space, except we don't have more space to grow there just because of the constraints of the property. So that would be something that we need to check into in terms of our community partners, maybe other grant partners, where we can somehow expand the facility or find, move to another facility for classroom training items, stuff like that. Similar to what Camp Haven did when they built their separate office out in front for their classroom training, and I'd love to have something like that. We're excited to keep our community partnerships growing. We are a standalone 501c3, and we recognize the importance of partnerships. Collectively, we can all do so much more for our respective clients. We recently partnered with Camp Haven this past month. And as we learn more about each other's respective programs, we now refer clients to the best program that meets their needs, whether it's homelessness or whether it's recovery related. In fact, we had a meet and greet catered by 14 Bones. It was nice to meet them. And, so that worked out really good. Our relationship with the Up Center has just been a game changer for us and our guys. It's just been unbelievable. I love working with Matt. He's a great guy. it's been a game changer not only for us, our residents, but also for Indian River County, which, you know, you guys know. Our residents are continuing to participate in the STEP program, the Success Training Employment Program. So far this year, we've had 8 residents go through the STEP program so far, so we're really excited about that. And of those 8, 3 are currently in, and of the 5 that already went through, they're all employed. So we're excited about that too. High-paying jobs at Piper. So that was a really good, an awesome thing that happened there. It's really good for the people because they learn not only about themselves, they learn a skill, they learn emotional growth, and then they finally understand that in recovery they can really attain a high-paying job and things can be restored to them. So they're really excited about that, and that these things, you know, high-paying jobs are attainable in sobriety. Mental health plays an important part of our program, Recovery. Our partnership with the Hanley Foundation provides free mental health counseling for all of our residents, and has played a large part in their recovery journey. Since its inception with them, 87 residents have received mental health counseling. So we're really excited about that because that's a really important component. If we just try to treat the alcoholism and the drug abuse by itself, we're never getting to the root of the issue. And one of our, you know, big things is that there's just not enough in Indian River County in terms of mental health counseling, counselors. We're really struggling to find counselors as well. We, keep sending our guys through because they're required to go through. But that's a toughie for us. So we hope that we can get more, more counselors and more psychiatrists and things that will really help our guys and help other people in the county, not just us. So we're excited about that opportunity. Our community partnership with local churches has provided not only a foundation for spiritual component of our program. We developed our spiritual mentor program to assist our residents with life issues as they go through their recovery. So in addition to their sponsor through their 12-step program, they also have a spiritual mentor with them, and we do that through our local church associated with First Methodist Church right now and Christ Church. Our community program has just been really, I think I put that in my report as well, but our metrics are trending all in the right direction, so we're really excited about that. Through our grant with the hospital district, we were able to scholarship 32 residents. And that's 32 men who would have hit the street because they couldn't pay for any kind of home, housing, or recovery program of their own. The success of this program provided necessary breathing room for the residents upon arrival to our program. The most important time in their recovery is the first 90 days. It's when they're getting out of the fog, getting out of that headspace that they were in, the stinking thinking, and really trying to get themselves together. So that the scholarship that you provide gives them that breathing room. And then the opportunity also, the 4 weeks to get a job, and then 6 weeks if they go to STEP. Because what happens is, even if they find a job, they get 2 weeks to wait for a paycheck. Now they're 4 weeks behind. And same thing with STEP. If they go for 4 weeks, now we've extended it up to 6 weeks so that they can go get the job and then have 2 more weeks to get a paycheck. So it gives them that breathing room, and they don't feel like they have to get this done immediately or they're going to be kicked out. Our number of residents served has remained the same year over year in the last 6 months, and that's okay because what's happening, our average length of stay is going higher. So the less amount of people we're seeing is because they're staying longer in the program. I think average, depending on time of year, it's been 6 months average stay, sometimes 5 months, sometimes 4 months, and that just fluctuates depending on how much our census is. We're able to hold 30 people. Sometimes it's 27 people, sometimes it's 25. So that always kind of fluctuates as we go through the year. 99% of our residents are employed. Right now, one gentleman is on permanent disability, so he's not able to get permanent work. We have 0 recidivism rate this year. From 6 months over last year, we had 3 people return to jail who were in our program, and this year we had 0 in the last 6 months, so we're excited about that. And that was the whole point of the scholarship too, was to get them so they didn't go back on the street and get into that cycle and do the same thing over and over and over again. Let's see. The first 90 days is the most critical. We had a drop in discharge rates within the first 90 days from 29 to 16. So that number's really dropped over last year. And then the number of relapses within the first 90 days dropped from 9 down to 6. And that may seem like a lot, but it is in terms of how many people we had to discharge for relapse. And right now, more than 75% of our people leave the program on a positive discharge, not they were kicked out. 75% are leaving without relapsing. So we're really excited about that. That's what we know of when they leave us. Now, what happens, there's no way to track them once they're out in the field, unless they come back to us or they come back to us as an alumni and are teaching, and then we kind of keep an eye on them and know what they're doing, and we can attest to what's happening with them. So that's the numbers there.
Mike, do most of them have a place to go when they leave you?
We have a referral system,
Okay.
so they may or they may
To find
not.
housing or to find?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, the problem in Vero Beach, and as you know, in River
Right.
County, is affordable housing
Right.
is an issue. But most of the people that we can refer to have that opportunity, i.e. Camp Haven, Nehemiah House, so on and so forth. So we give them a referral list. We don't just kick them on the street
Okay.
for relapse. Or we get them back into detox if they have to detox, which they have to do in St. Lucie County. Unfortunately, we really need one here in Indian River County.
We're working on
We
it.
all know that.
Yeah, I know that.
And so we take them to detox if necessary, so there's somewhere to go. We don't just try to throw them on the street.
Do any go back to family?
Some of them do.
Okay,
Some of them do, and sometimes that's just a toxic relationship, but it's better than being on the street.
okay.
So then they leave, try to make it, and then they come back and say, I left too early. Can I come back? So we've had positive discharges. They get back in and say, I have a roommate, this is great, except now I'm living with a roommate who drinks and I got to get out of here. Can I come back? And so we provide that safety net for them, so to speak.
The residents who go to jail, I take it, is that things like DUI and that sort of thing?
It has been DUI, has been assault.
Okay.
I don't know the particular charges
Okay.
in the 3 cases from last year, but let me see. I can tell of one DUI that I know of off the top of my head. But a lot of the root of what is going on with them is there's some sort of abuse, even though there's the root of what is causing them to drink. And it's so going back to the home is not always the best spot for them to go back to. And then what they end up with in terms of, if they go to jail. This year, like I said, we had none, but to date up until May, that they are basically for either DWI or assault.
Does the Hanley grant allow them to continue with mental health counseling after they're out of your program?
No, it does not. The grant, a good question. The grant is only available for them when they are actively in the Dynamic Life program.
I would assume then at that point, you're referring them at least to the Mental Health Collaborative or
Correct.
MHA?
Correct. That's their only other, or, if they have a high-paying job now, they can, also, keep with their counselor. We encourage them actually to stay with the counselors that they're with, to say, hey, maybe get a scholarship from them, so to speak, and say, hey, look, I'm in this situation, but I really want to stay in mental health counseling. So unfortunately, yeah, it does end, but it's better than having had nothing.
Oh.
And a lot of them, we encourage they go for the first 4 weeks while they're on scholarship. And a lot of them just keep doing it. They just keep saying, because they're really getting down to that root of what's caused what's going on in their system. And, it's really been a game changer for us and for the residents, not just us, for all involved. So any other questions from the board? I'll take them through the chair. Anybody else?
Good.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman,
Thank
and
you.
all the trustees. I'm proud of the work our team has done and the residents that they have put into their recovery. Our staff and residents are extremely appreciative of the hospital district and the opportunity their grant provides for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it, Mike. Healthy Start. Is anybody there working?
We bring everyone. We bring everyone. So we'll get started because Kate gave me the warning. That's 10 minutes only. No matter how many people you bring, it's still 10 minutes. I'm Andrea Berry, and I'm going to introduce these lovely ladies. And then we did provide to you this report that you guys can peruse, but we wanted to highlight some. Each one of them wants to highlight something special about their program. So for me, I just want to thank you all, obviously, for being here, and those that are new that we don't know that well yet. We're so excited to get to know you guys better. And Michael, we kind of know you already, but Paul, we're hoping to get to know you a little bit more as we forge on in this journey. So my main update for me is that there's a leadership transition. Many of you probably knew and know that Megan McFall is going to be taking my position, which we're thrilled about. Did you guys all know? I'm getting knowing looks so good. Okay. So this probably will be the last time that I'm in front of you, but Megan is going to do a great job, and I could not be happier for that transition. So
When does she start?
the beginning of June.
Okay.
So I'll be there through the end of July, or sorry, the end of June at the beginning of July to kind of give her that transition space. And then, of course, I'm always available to help and support. So first, Cheryl Martinez, NFP. I'm just giving you guys intro, and then you guys can come up here after. Genevieve Mallon, Babies and Beyond. Genevieve. Stacy Washburn, she's the Director of Healthy Start Services. Maria Roman, Coordinator Intake and Referral. Bridget Jerger, Grow Doula. And Anda Mendoza, Grow Doula. She's always trying to hide, Anna is. And now I'm going to pass to Taylor Farnsworth, our Director of External Engagement, who's going to give you guys a little bit of background about Healthy Start, and then we'll go into the updates.
Hi, thank you for having us. As Andrea said, my name's Taylor Farnsworth. I'm the Director of External Engagement at Indian River County Healthy Start. I know we have a few new trustees since the last time we've been present, so I just wanted to give a brief overview of our historical lens. So Healthy Start's overall mission is to decrease infant mortality, and we do that in multiple ways. And there are multiple causations of that, but in 1991, Governor Lawton Chiles signed Healthy Starts into state statute, and there are currently 32 coalitions in the state of Florida. Every coalition is slightly different, just servicing the needs of what that community entails, but we all carry out support and empowerment of moms, babies, fathers, and families. So I will pass it over to my colleagues to give you a program update. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity for us to provide an update. And I know we have a crew, so I'll make it quick. So some of the things, I am the nursing program specialist with Nurse Family Partnership. And I just wanted to demonstrate how the community collaborates together and all of these great wraparound services that Healthy Start have that helps our moms. I have a mom that experienced a somewhat traumatic birth experience, and thankfully she had a Grow Doula available that was there with her through this experience, and just keeping in touch with her, got her involved in some mental health therapy through Legacy, who we collaborate with, as well as we were able to get her to our group, our Village of Support group, where we have a village of moms that support each other. And she's definitely getting better and recognizing, what happened through her birth, and knows that she has the support of the Healthy Start Coalition for that.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. I don't know what order we were supposed to go in. But I was just going to bring up some recent changes, and that's with our fatherhood initiative. We have two great guys who started with us. Mike Felton, he's our fatherhood coordinator, and Mike Staggs, and he is our fatherhood navigator. They have been doing an awesome job. I just wanted to put that out there. They've been doing our weekly groups. So far, they've engaged 16 dads in our community in groups, with 7 being consistent. They are doing one-on-one home visitation with these dads as well, and they have engaged 23 dads in one-on-one visits, with 15 being consistent on a weekly basis. And I just wanted to provide that
That's
update.
great. I think that's great, yes. Yeah.
Also, I will say that other counties haven't even started this initiative. We are well ahead of even huge counties. We're just, doing great.
Because
Any
it's more than just mommies and me.
Everybody.
Yes, I think that's awesome. Great.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, this is Anna Mendoza. She has been supporting me with overseeing the local Grow Doula program, as I have been doing, as you know, Grow Doula went statewide. So I have been conducting those trainings. We have done 9 Grow Doula trainings so far, with 2 of those being in Indian River County. We want to thank our sponsors, Simply Healthcare, Humana, and Sunshine. I was going to forget the last one. So we are very, very excited. We've trained over 100 doulas, and we have 4 more trainings on the book so far for the rest of the year. And our local program is continuing to grow. We are ready to implement our statewide program within our local program, and it should be a seamless transition. I'll say that. Thank you.
So how many doulas here?
Say that again?
How many trained doulas do we have here in Indian River County?
Oh, train. So,
Well, how many doulas?
over 200 doulas trained.
Here in Indian
here
River
in Indian
County.
River County, yes. Oh, it's a. Right now, we do have 22 doulas on contract. We are getting ready to contract the next cohort of doulas that we just trained beginning of May. So we have 16, 15, 14, 13, because I'm counting backwards because we had a couple that were not Grow Doula trained, but they were DONA trained in earlier trainings. So we have about 13 new doulas coming on board. And we have 12 active doulas that are actively serving our clients in the county right now. And my goal, when I counted today, we are hopefully slated to serve 130 moms and families this fiscal year. So we'll hopefully that number does go up, but we're like 91 right now.
Okay,
without
that's
May
good.
and June on. So
That's great.
Hi, everybody. As far as Babies and Beyond updates go, the programs that I oversee, we are continuing our collaboration and our close work with Cleveland Clinic. I'm happy to report now, if you go onto the Cleveland Clinic website, our support groups, our weekly support groups that Cheryl mentioned, are up there. So our monthly classes, the childbirth education classes. And then we are also excited to report that in the next coming months, with our lactation team at the hospital, we are going to have the nursing staff have a shadow shift with our lactation team. So that will be a part of their orientation period as well. And then that will turn into a yearly competency as well. So every year the nurses are going to have at least one full shift of just enhanced breastfeeding support and education. So
That's good.
Hi, I'm Maria Roman. I'm the Maternity Navigator Coordinator, and I would like to share that our success is being able to see the majority of the moms at Partners. We're embedded at Partners and also at the hospital at Cleveland Clinic. So prenatally and postpartum, we're able to capture the majority of the moms, and we're trying to collaborate with Physicians to Women to be able to see those moms as well. So that's in the works.
At Partners, you said most, but if you're not seeing them, is it because they opt out?
It could be because they opt out, or because now all the providers are doing intake, so I'm the only one there. So if there's 3 scheduled at the same time,
Right.
it's kind of difficult to see them.
Okay.
But we'll get the screen and I'll call them on the phone if we miss them face to face.
So you do touch them all?
Mhm.
Okay,
That's what I was getting at.
yeah.
Thank you.
I thought they did.
Any questions for us or the team or where you
I do. Only one though. Only one. Look at me go. In the prenatal health literacy program, for the most recent 6 months, 40 moms were in need of referral and 40 moms received a referral. Did 40 moms accept the referral and go to the referral, or?
It's in the presentation. Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Because we
My
talked,
team is so
we talked about
good.
this being a little different. Yes, so those were moms who attended a nurse home visit.
Okay.
And at the nurse home visit, something was identified where that mom would need an additional service. And so, yes, they received the referral. I would say the majority of them, no, and those also were 40 that accepted the referral as well.
So 40 of them went to wherever they were.
Correct.
It was
Yeah,
suggested.
it's either through one of our Healthy Start programs
Okay.
or through an in-home lactation consultant. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you.
I wanted to ask only because I had seen Dawn's audit report, when she met with you, there you are, early March, and there were a couple of things that they wanted you to follow up on. It may be done, I don't know.
I think that we took care of it when she was there, but possibly not. Do you want me to follow up with that?
Yes. And again, Anne Marie, did I miss something, or Jenny, there were, we don't need to get into it here.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever it is, we can follow
I
up with it. If it hasn't been done, I apologize, and then we will.
Fine.
I have a,
Sorry to add to the load in the last month.
I just have a quick question for, I guess, Cheryl, because you were at our Gifford meeting in February. So there was something that we brought, that came up about at the hospital with the new moms, and when they were discharged, that they weren't sure about. Megan was gonna check in on it, about, was it a patient advocate that would come around from the hospital?
Right.
Do you remember that?
I remember that, but I think that's still in the works because they would have to, at Cleveland Clinic, have someone to help them.
Apparently, they were coming around, and then at some point, it stopped.
So they have somebody, it's Tiffany Porter, that comes into the rooms and assists the moms to apply for Medicaid.
Okay, that's what, okay, very good. Thank you.
Is that what you were
Yes,
asking about? Okay,
yes.
good.
Proud of you.
You have 5 seconds.
Thank you, ladies.
The growth in Healthy Start over the years since I first came here is incredible. And Andrea, that's a lot of tribute to you and your team and what you've done, so.
Good luck, Andrea.
Okay, next we've got Sunshine Physical Therapy. Heather.
Must be on Zoom.
This is Heather's first time here, so.
And she's all by herself.
she's
Yes,
by
I
herself.
am. So
You're
please
fine.
forgive my nerves.
You're fine.
My name is Heather Moxley. I am the Assistant Executive Director at Sunshine Physical Therapy Clinic. As you probably know, our ED left abruptly in March. You may or may not know. So the board set in place.
The ED left abruptly in March.
transition
Sorry, you need to
I
speak
just
up
didn't
just a
hear
little
you.
bit.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Our board set in place a transition plan to name Jenny Blossom, so Virginia Blossom, as the interim ED. And I am serving as the Assistant Executive Director and the Clinical Director at the same time. So those transitions are going to give us a restructure, and organizational stability and viability are going to be our focus. My background is that I have recently earned my master's degree in health administration, and I have also been at Sunshine for almost 10 years as SLPA, so speech language pathology assistant. I've also served as insurance coordinator and records custodian as needed within that time as well. Let's see what else. You have the report there in front of you. So we provide physical, speech, and occupational therapy for adults and children. The data there is at the top of the amount that we've spent. We do serve Medicaid insurances primarily with this grant. Challenges that we have with this is the funding for adults with Medicaid, or that Medicaid covers the lower or they provide the lower reimbursement, and for some adults they don't reimburse at all, but they still need the service. We do have other grants that we try to be strategic with for the children, but for the adults, that's where we're seeing the challenges, and we are seeing more adult patients with the Medicaids now. We're taking more of those now. This grant utilizes the following outcome measures, and when I created this report, I went by these outcome measures, but the wording in some of these was changed a little bit by someone who doesn't really have a clinical background. So I did want to kind of address that and see if you had any questions. I did list the outcome measures that we use and how we provide the treatment. So for the pediatric OT and PT, what the treatment is based on, so stretching and strengthening, balance and coordination, visual motor, transfers, activities of daily living would be something for our adult patients. For pediatrics, it would be facilitation of age-appropriate milestones. So for this first goal, the gross motor or fine motor development, so we're utilizing the standardized testing. Not all patients we're not able to use standardized testing on all of our patients. So the ones that we can use the standardized tests on, overall they are showing improvement, and I have listed that in most of these. So for my first two examples, the patient had 9% increase. The second patient had about a 1% increase. So overall, they are improving. I put the note there that says that the wording of this outcome measure does not address fine motor. So when this was written, it says gross motor or fine motor, but the goal is 80% of children improve gross motor skills by 2% as measured by these tests. And so fine motor was not included in that, but I did include it because I think that she meant to include it with this. So, and the improvement there is nearly all of the patients demonstrated well above the 2% in the fine motor. And then later I'll show you down at the pediatric PT, 26% showed improvement with the gross motor.
And the 2%, is that your goal, or is that a clinical type goal?
I'm not sure how to answer that. My PT is not my background.
Okay.
It's
okay.
It's an achievable goal depending on the patient. So obviously we want to see as much improvement as possible.
I generally just don't see, when you talk about improvement, I mean, 2% doesn't sound like
I'm wondering,
it's a lot.
in my litigation practice, we monitor, we my former life before I started mediating, you look for progress. And I'm curious is if that 2% is aligned with a visit or in other words, that looking for a positive response with the opportunities for care as opposed to, because I agree, I think 2% seems, in the industry, your care ends if you're not, in other words, you plateau, you're at MMI, we're not going to provide any more care because it's not efficacious. So I'm curious, that may be something to look at and find out, because there may be a portion of that sentence that's missing. It may be 2% per visit, per week, per...
So the goals for the long-term goals are set in 6 month
increments.
increments, yes. So some of the patients did not show improvement because of where they entered the cycle, so they could not have contributed to the improvement because they weren't reassessed in that time. So they typically reassess every 6 months.
And obviously your response would be different between a more chronic situation versus a more recent or acute situation.
Yes, exactly. Right. Especially for some of the developmental, it's not acute, so it's going to be ongoing.
So 2% in something ongoing, severely debilitated pediatric patient would probably be significant. But yeah, it would be
Well, I
nice
just wondered
to
if that
see
was a
that.
standardized thing, or if that was Sunshine Physical Therapy
Yeah,
School, or...
that would,
Right.
it would be nice to see that, or have someone explain that a little bit better
Okay.
to us.
Follow up. What jumped off the page when I looked at your report was on page 2, the speech development in children. Expect to have a lot of work in the coming season, if you don't already.
We do.
The CDC, as you probably are aware, have adjusted the standards to account for, I'm guessing, the masking. What used to be an acceptable standard, I think at 24 months, is now acceptable at 30 months. And, what you guys quite honestly, I'm reading this and you understate the urgency and the need here, because it does feed into being kindergarten ready, so that our school district is receiving students who are prepared, being third grade reading ready, which is a huge initiative in our community. And there's some, are you collaborating in that area? Do you have anybody that you've come into contact with? Or?
Currently, but I would be really...
Let's get together, because I recently was on a Zoom call involving a few entities, so there may be something there to...
Yes.
But that is an area of tremendous need right now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so regarding that speech goal there, that goal was sort of tweaked. Again, I see what she was trying to do, but she said speech development in children, and I believe that it was worded communication development. So it's this speech development, 80% of children will improve their spoken language skills or auditory comprehension. So this, the 25% is standard. It's one standard deviation. I do know that. I don't assess as an assistant, but I do know that. However, these standardized tests listed here do not measure spoken language.
Do your speech therapist or physical therapist, are they the ones that have come up with these?
They were created by the therapist, but they were modified.
They might want to research it a little bit more and make sure that it's standardized in that specialty.
Yes, I agree.
Going forward.
Okay, yes, they were unaware that this was modified.
Okay.
And my question under the communication development in children was just the performance in this particular one wasn't good. And it was a little hard for me to follow, but 1 out of 13, and the deviation that should go 15, you showed 7 points, is like halfway there. Again, they're kids, worried about them getting the therapy that they need for all the reasons Paul was talking about. It just, that's the one that stood out as being a little weak in terms of outcomes. More, it bothered me more, let's put it that way.
Okay, this patient actually did improve. Is this the patient here, the one that's listed okay right here? So this was actually, she met the goal of the 25% increase, so that would be the one standard deviation.
He was talking about in the paragraph above that.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I think he's talking about the 32 that.
right.
didn't-
Of the 13
didn't
patients, so it starts on the bottom of the page and carries to the top.
Right.
And 32 scores with an average of 7 points in improvement, which is improvement, but
When was that data collected? In other words, I mean, whether or not the children were wearing masks would affect the progress. I hate to
Oh,
wade
that
into
was-
those waters, but
Yeah, that was hard. The whole masking thing was hard. This data was collected during this time frame, so October of 2022 to March 31st of 2023. But
So you wouldn't have had masks. at
not
that
as
point.
much, no. Oh, okay, I see it at the top. Thank you.
right, right. Yes, we tried all sorts of things with the shields and when we had COVID, everything. It was hard. So the next two outcome measures are more straightforward. And these were adult PT goals. So upper and lower extremity as measured by the UEFS, which is a upper extremity functional scale, or the LEFS, which is the lower extremity functional scale. And then the balance and gait was measured by the timed up and go, or the TUG test. And those patients showed improvement as well. We had good outcomes with those. If there were lower than expected outcomes, it was due to non-compliance, or patients who didn't attend, or patients who had many medical
You
conditions.
don't have anything as far as their frequency or their duration of time that they accomplish these goals?
So that would be during this same 6-month period.
Okay, so it could have been, this patient could have been coming for a month, or they could have been coming for 6 months, is what you're saying. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see, they've accomplished the goals, but
Right.
how long did it take them to accomplish those goals? Again, you don't have to answer that. I'm just saying, in the future, those are things that are good to know.
Okay.
That's all. It's okay.
We recognize you're in a really hard spot.
Yes.
And you're doing absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions for me?
She's praying no.
I'm just going to point out the audit that you would have received from Dawn too. There are a couple of things they were looking for a corrective action plan on. So, might have been followed up on, I don't know. Okay. I don't have it, but it was completed then.
Should have been completed, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. So yes, I will be revising these goals, and they will be different. They will be different for next time, yes.
Mm.
Right.
Thank you.
When is Jenny starting?
She has already started.
Oh, okay.
So we started this about 2 weeks after Mary left.
Okay, so Jenny is there now?
Yes, she's
Okay.
there now.
And you said she's interim executive director?
Correct.
And so are they searching for an executive director?
So the plan is for me to move in that direction.
Okay.
As the executive director.
So Jenny is also on the board. Is she still on the board as a interim?
I don't believe so. I'm
No, mostly you'd have to come off the board
Right.
in order to
Right.
take a position.
Well, it's still on the website. That's the only reason, so.
Okay.
We're working on that too. Yes.
Okay. I missed that.
Is Jenny out of town now?
No.
Okay.
She didn't feel she should come help you.
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm here.
You are
Wanted me
here.
to say hello to you.
Yes. You're fine, and thank you for answering the questions honestly and candidly. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
for having
Thank
me.
you.
Heather.
Okay.
You guys do good work.
Really not that bad, and thank you for the good work you do with the children and adults. And
She's like, yeah, I'm moving.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Heather. Okay, from the trustees, any unfinished business? New business, we've got Liz Bruner here. If you all remember, we asked her to come back. just want to start that out, okay?
Yep, I remember.
She didn't voluntarily do this.
So actually, what I'm back to talk with you about today is a little bit different than what we spoke about when I was here the last time. We have, as you know, our emergency alert response systems, and we discovered that we have a shortfall in funding for the current year from the middle of March, I want to say March 18th, through the end of your funding cycle, September. So how this surfaced is that we have a new chief financial officer. I don't know if any of y'all have had the opportunity to meet Gabriel Pedrero yet. He started with us in the end of February, and he had been consulting with us for a couple of months before that through your part-time controller, YPTC, because our lead finance team member, who was not our CFO, left unexpectedly. And so the first thing that Gabe did when he came in was to do a deep dive into all of the programs and try to figure out where everything was and what was happening. So the only thing, to my knowledge, that he surfaced was a little issue with emergency alert response. And there's so much good news and positive news with him joining us. This is just like a tiny unexpected sliver, but we are projecting that we need an additional $27,135 to serve the folks that we plan to serve through EARS for the remainder of the funding period. Gabe discovered that in the enthusiasm that our folks had to enroll new people, and with the departure of the controller that was overseeing the department, there were 21 individuals from the very first year whose renewals were not sent to you all as a part of our billing process. So they've continued. Nobody has not received services. Well, that's a terrible double negative. No one has gone without services, but we have 21 individuals whose renewals were not submitted to your team for funding. And then in addition, because the need is so great, and as I mentioned the last time, the word of mouth has been off the charts, we enrolled more new folks than we had the funding for. So the $27,135 will take care of all of those individuals for the remainder of this fiscal year. One of the really wonderful things that resulted from Gabe's deep dive and the peeling back the layers on this onion is that we have achieved in the time since we've started the program some economies of scale. We don't require nearly the marketing expenses that we had before because the word of mouth has been so great. And so he has seen that the program cost will go down from $526 per person to $405 per person, which means we can apply that to this funding request, which brings it down a little bit. And it also will positively impact the request that we have in for next year. Should you elect to continue funding this, we'll be charging $405 per person rather than $526. So I know you had a one-pager in your packets about this, and it is a little bit of a confusing situation. Jenny was kind enough to walk through it with me to see if I could explain it adequately. So I would open it up for questions because I imagine you have some.
You stated the 21 individuals that that the renewals weren't sent in, the 22 seniors currently enrolled that are above the funding, and then there's also 24 at risk expecting enrollment.
So yes, so the individuals that are shown there, 21 are currently receiving services that should have been renewed. 22 are currently receiving services that have already been enrolled. They have the equipment, but they are over what we should have enrolled, over subscription, I guess I would call it. And then the 24 individuals have been, I hate to use the word promised, but I think promised is the only thing that is appropriate here. They have been told they would receive this service, but we have not yet provided it because of the discovery of this shortfall.
So when you came before, you talked about the wait list, and that's what started the conversation here about come back and let's get rid of the wait list. Does this get rid of the wait
Well,
list?
it takes a number of them off, yes. So
24 still.
many of them, the reason we're oversubscribed is because the wait list was great and there wasn't, unfortunately, prior to Gabe's arrival, there wasn't a meshing of the communication between the outgoing finance leader and the program team. So they were enrolling people who were at risk. I mean, the story of one gentleman, his Meals on Wheels driver found him lying on the kitchen floor. He had apparently injured himself the day before and had been there all night and had soiled himself and was unable to, so as soon as he got out of the hospital, they enrolled him. So it's the need is tremendous, and it was driving the enrollment, but there wasn't a good checks and balances on the amount of slots available. So it doesn't wipe out the wait list. The wait list continues to grow. So we do expect that we would be able to serve with the projected funding, should we be so fortunate, the 50 original slots, the 142 people that we have added to that. It should have been 75, we added 142. So it will pick up the gap-funded folks the original year, and then will leave us 132 slots for people from the wait list, which there are still about 70 people on the wait list. So.
Okay, so in looking, I was doing okay until just now. And that's okay. I think you've clarified it, but I think, because if I looked at the report, my takeaway would be the $27,000 that's being requested would fund 67 people, and that's the scope of the program. And that may be some of my ignorance as well, but what you just went over is it looks like you're in the 190-something range that are going to be.
So we would be, with this funding, if we were able to, we would be providing services to 192.
And that would take care of everybody that's currently on the waiting list.
No, there are still some people on the waiting list. But
How many?
I think it's about 70. We had to stop taking people when we realized we didn't have the revenue to cover them. And
So-
had I had this surfaced before we put in our most recent application, obviously, we would have modified everything, the price per person, the expectations of service and so forth, but it didn't surface.
And these are all people that qualify within your age range, their income level, et
The-
cetera.
These individuals that we're already serving?
No, the ones that you want to serve.
Well, the wait list, so we qualify each member of the wait list as their turn comes up. So I can't say that.
Okay.
We have to have a case manager that reaches out to them and verifies that they do meet the criteria for this funding group. So they may not all, they may be younger, they may not have the right poverty
Right.
level
Okay.
or income level. So,
My question's for Jenny or Anne Marie. We're funding this program. I know it's a line item, but I don't remember even if I've been told exactly. Are we funding the service? Did we buy equipment?
no, so I can give you a little background, Michael. Thank you for asking. So we are in partnership with ADT.
Right.
So yes, technically you are funding the equipment, but it's installed, our case managers do the intake, they arrange for the installation, they do the training for the seniors that are enrolled, and then they also do periodic checks. They get a daily fax of any alerts that have been received by the ADT team. They are all senior sensitivity trained, so they have special skill sets for working with our population. And so then, if there is a problem with any of the equipment, they replace at no charge to either the senior or to us, and therefore to y'all. So it's a very it's one of the most seamless programs that we run. It's worked like a charm and has saved quite a few people.
And if you can, what was the average cost per person when you came to us initially?
$526.
Okay.
Yes. So, so if we were not to receive this, I would be looking for other funding sources to share this opportunity with and hopefully be successful.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay, so, first thing we need to do is to be able to vote on the 27,000. So can I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments? Okay, all in agreement? Barb?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
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 Yes, okay, yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
The only thing I would say is, I was really hoping we were gonna wipe out the waiting list. And so in your request for this next year, can we, I mean, you said you don't validate them until their time comes up. So you might not need, all 70 might not qualify, right?
Correct.
So I don't know how you work that, but it would be nice that anyone who qualified had the service.
So, so in the proposal going forward, the 131.5, excuse me, is that, let me check my numbers. That's the current year. No, the 131,500 would serve 324 seniors. So that gives us 132 slots. So if all 70 qualified and people continue to join the wait list, we'd be able
Okay,
to serve.
so it's beyond that, it's the 70 plus.
Yes, we did try to project
Okay.
appropriately. We
Okay.
just weren't looking
So
backwards.
that's in the application that
Looking
I've got in my
forward.
binder. Okay.
Okay,
I haven't.
Correct.
In my binder.
okay, good, that makes me feel better.
Sorry, I didn't make that
Okay,
abundantly clear.
so we are good with the 27,
Thank you.
135.
Thank you. We are very grateful, and I can assure you that with Gabe's watchful eye, nothing like this will happen again. He's been a great asset in just the few months he's been there. He has, we're closing the months earlier. Our financial reports for program managers and department heads are so much easier to interpret when you're not a financial person. So we're excited to have him, and I look forward to the opportunity to introduce him to you.
Great. We'll
Thank
look
you.
forward
Thank
to
you,
it.
Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Good job.
Okay, other business. Yes, Paul.
Dr. Cooney yesterday brought up the situation with Cleveland Clinic. I'm not looking for any decision, just topic to put on radars for everybody to, in your free time, to think about and look at. A topic that I was planning to talk about today, irrespective of what happened yesterday. I was approached by a physician in the community who had a relationship with the lab capabilities at the hospital that permitted him to collect a specimen in his office, outpatient procedure, and it would be couriered to the lab and they would be able to service it. Well, he was informed that that service was no longer going to be available to him, that in order for that service to be done, he would have to come into the hospital and do that. Shortly thereafter, someone else went to the Health and Wellness Center and observed this on the desk. And what this is, we do not accept Quest or LabCorp orders. For questions, please go to lab to check in. My concern is, this sort of, the explanation that the physician was given is they're short of staff. I'm concerned as to whether or not the shortening of his staff becomes an opportunity to capture that much more of the business in our community. The relevancy of that to us is in the operation of the hospital under the Special Act. If you look at Section 12, the hospital district is not to interfere with the operation of the independent providers, okay? I tend to think that even though it's Cleveland Clinic running the hospital, and again, I'm with you all, I don't want to get involved in running the day-to-day, but I can't stand by and watch some of these things without trying to be engaged in some way. So the question is, how do we engage in this? What's our avenue? And this is for thought, okay, not an action, so that you all can go look at the Special Act and see if I'm out in left field or not. Section 12 indicates that the district is not to interfere with the independents. Seizing upon the opportunity to capture the work, I would view for established qualified providers is in that category. And when I see this in conjunction with their semi-annual report, something that jumped out at me when I read that was they're moving into and developing a concierge practice. And over the past couple of years, I don't know if you all have heard this, but a number of the private physicians have been moving into that direction for a range of reasons. I've heard it, it's because of their insurance, it's because of their relationship with the hospital, what have you. Well, when I see the hospital making that strategic decision and I see this, it makes me wonder, are we seeing predatory behavior? I'll use that word, okay? I don't know. But I think it's something that we need to explore, and then the question is, how do we deal with it? Well, under Section 11 of the statute, we do have the authority to promulgate rules regarding the operations of the facilities that we own. That provision, I don't believe, was obviated in the lease or the substitution agreement, okay? So that's the how if we need to. I don't want to. That's why I felt it was really going to be to our benefit to have somebody from the hospital engage in meaningful conversations. And waiting until October, to me, is not acceptable.
I agree.
Not at all.
I agree.
I want to know about the staffing issues. I think that was one of the questions that I posed. So I think, for those out in our listening audience, it's on my list. I really think that, but I understand we're going to work as a board, so just because it's on my list doesn't mean it's on your list. But I'm going to ask you guys to explore these things. I don't know about you all, but I'm getting conversations about the 4-page consent form. And the first sentence, or early in it, I voluntarily consent to all medical treatment and healthcare-related services that the caregivers at CCIRH consider to be necessary for me, the patient, okay? I voluntarily consent. And this form applies if I go to Dr. Vendry's office, who's part of Cleveland Clinic, and get treatment as a primary care doctor, and then I show up at the hospital, this form follows me there. And an argument will be made that if I have done a healthcare surrogate form and I have a family member who, if I'm incapacitated, I've given them the duty to take care of me, or a power of attorney, if that predates this, the patient is rightfully concerned that this is going to preempt those things. And I've been told this is anecdotal information, that people read it, say, I want to mark it up. You can't. Well, I'm not going to sign it, because it also talks about being involved with teaching capabilities, okay? Well, the response that they're getting is, if you don't sign, you can't treat with us. That's not voluntary, as the form says. Additionally, this has the potential of impacting the availability of indigent care, because if I'm indigent and I live in the county and I don't want to do this, I can't go to, more than likely, I can't go to another county because I'm not a resident. So, not looking for us to do anything. This is just a little bit of stuff that we need to deal with that I want to put out there, and hopefully we can get somebody here, because I want to work with them. I want to solve problems and collaborate, but if they don't, or Cleveland doesn't, but the local folks do, we need to figure out how we can get this taken care of. So, thank you. I appreciate your time.
So, like I said yesterday, Connor Delaney has asked to meet with Anne Marie and I, okay? And given the non-response that we've received so far, if you would, to the questions that were submitted, the plan would be to go through those, because part of their wanting to meet is what more can the hospital district do to help them? And the hospital district, I don't think, can do a lot more to help them until they help themselves.
Well said.
And they help us help them.
Amen.
And so that would be the plan, to talk to them about that. It also would be that somebody needs to come here before us and talk to us,
Right.
and help us help them get better.
And thank you. And part of my comments also is I want you all to be able to know what's going on in my mind in terms of, and for me to be accountable to you all in terms of how I'm reading the special act and how that relates to the lease and the substitution agreement, and whether or not there are holes in those documents that give us this authority should we want to elect to do so. So, thank you.
I would like those things you brought, if we can have them for that meeting.
Sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll take those to the meeting.
I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Questions?
Is there no circumstance in which a non-sunshine meeting could be held with?
There's only a few exemptions to the Sunshine Law, and one of them is like legal matters, but it's even very narrow.
Yeah.
Very, very narrow. And then, of course, you can appoint a trustee to meet and negotiate, or not even, or just discuss matters. We've done that in the past. We did that as part of our transaction with Cleveland Clinic and the other hospitals when we were vetting a partner. But really, no, the whole board, outside of a very narrow exemption, or even a committee, if there's more than one of you,
Right.
the meeting is public.
Right. No, I was 99.9% sure of that, but
Good question.
It's very difficult.
yeah.
It is. It is to do that. But they should come and talk to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Absolutely.
okay, any other business? Any public comment? We are waiting. Hearing no public comment, we will be adjourned then. Thank you.
You let us down.
Yeah.